So now that reports are confirmed of a bout between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez coming to an agreement for a bout to be taking place in September, there are also reports coming out with Canelo Alvarez possibly taking a fight in May against William Skull, whereas though they both will be unifying the titles and Canelo will have a chance to be going for undisputed for the second time. With that being said, I'm wondering, does Terence Crawford himself will also have a fight scheduled around the same time so he could get his feet wet? Because my only concern with Terence Crawford going into a fight with Canelo is that if Canelo takes a fight in May, he will be the fresher guy as far as like not having ring rust going into the fight, while Terence Crawford will be moving up to the 168-pound limit and trying to get his weight adjusted while he's in that fight. So that's my main concern going into that fight. I have no doubts that Terence Crawford can outbox Canelo, but my main concern going into this fight is that how would Terence Crawford adjust to the weight? Also going into that fight, Canelo is still the bigger guy. He's not a slouch. And how would Terence Crawford be able to take these punches that Canelo will be throwing at him? I'm not one of the guys that go out there and say that, hey, Terence Crawford has a weak chin, because whatever you could say about Terence Crawford's chin, you could say the same thing about Canelo. I mean, they both had been rocked before. Terence Crawford had been rocked by Yoriokas Gamboa over a decade ago, and Canelo also has been rocked by Jose Cotto over a decade ago. So, to be totally honest with you, none of this stuff actually really concerns me as far as chin. Now, people will say, well, Canelo got the great power advantage based on the fact of the matter he's been dropping guys in his last few fights or so, whatever, although he never got a knockout. Yeah, that is cool. Canelo does have power in his punches. He likes to beat up on the arms. He likes to pretty much hit anywhere to try to wear the fighter down. Now, beating up on the arms, that's more of a tactic that you saw from Rocky Marciano back in the day. Despite what people say about Rocky Marciano's resume, that tactic did work where he beat on your arms and wear you out and then, end up getting stoppages in certain fights and everything else because your arms are too tired to keep holding up. Now, we know Terence Crawford, one of his advantage is really, the foot movement, the moving around and everything else, having ring generalship. People believe that Crawford might not be able to punch hard enough to really get Canelo's respect. And I beg to differ. I mean, I see why people might come up with that saying, hey, well, he didn't even knock out Madrimov. But who's to say Madrimov doesn't have a chin himself? Who's to say Madrimov doesn't have grit? See, the thing with Madrimov actually have ring IQ. I'm not saying Canelo doesn't have the ring IQ, but Madrimov has better foot movement than Canelo. Canelo, to me, is more of a stationary target with upper body movement. Like to me, I just think his feet is stuck in the sand. But the one thing about Canelo, he does have great upper body movement and everything else. Now, to be totally honest with you, I don't care how much of a chin people claims Canelo have, saying it's an iron chin. At the end of the day, all it takes is getting hit in the right spot. One shot to the right spot, and that's all it takes. That's all she wrote. So, just as much as that Canelo could hurt Terence Crawford, I believe it's the same amount that Terence Crawford could hurt Canelo, because it's not like Terence Crawford got pillow fists or whatever. But anyway, like I said, my main concern is going into this fight is the inactivity of Terence Crawford taking fights, one fight a year for the past 5-6 years. That's my only concern with that. Other than that, even though I think he might outbox Canelo, we got to understand these judges. That's all I got to say. Let's just say if Terence Crawford puts on a master class against Canelo, the judges might still have an effect on it. And the reason why I say that is that look at Dimitri Bivol. Dimitri Bivol, in my opinion, 10-2 Canelo Alvarez, and somehow the judges all had identical scorecards. When I mean identical, I mean the exact same rounds score for Canelo in all these fights. So that's all I gotta say with that. So you gotta understand Canelo is the cash cow in this fight. So a lot of times when you the breadwinner, judging kind of leans towards your way a bit, especially if the fight is going to be close. You know what I'm saying? So gotta be careful with that. But other than that, I think it's still a good fight at the end of the day. But don't be surprised if Terence Crawford pulls off the upset. With that being said, bold and understanding, I'm out. Peace.